A Green Spark. Chapter 7. Carl and I rushed to school. He's convinced me that today is indeed the day the new student comes. I couldn't care less, but it is nice to see Carl happy like this. As we walk, we see a new figure standing in the front of the school, talking to someone in a car. It must be their parents. I could see them holding a bunch of books. Many were facing away from us, but there was one title I could just barely read. "Hey, look at the book they're holding," I mumbled to Carl. He groans and notices the book. "A nerd! That ruins it all!" He groans and laughs, running up to her. "Still worth a new friend, though." I could see the car drive away as we started to walk towards them. "Such a dork," I mumble, not taking my eyes off the books. She turned around, seeing Carl coming running up to her. She stands tall, just a bit shorter than me. Her figure was strong and independent. Most other people would take a step back, at least. "And who might you be?" she asked Carl in a low but curious voice. His mouth was open, as he was about to ask the same question. Set back, he stumbles with his words. I laugh and walk over, putting my hand on his shoulder and facing the girl. I could see the titles of the book she was holding now. Demons, Tips, and Knowledge. A thick book with a hard leather cover. Spells and how to use them. A thinner book, which looked like it only held maybe 10-20 pages. Understanding Magic. A dark, leather-covered book. She seemed to have read a lot, as the corners of it had been turned lighter shade than the leather cover from them being bent all sorts of ways. I flinched as she noticed me reading the covers and pulled the books close to her chest so I couldn't read any further. "Sorry for being so rude. I'm Clinton. This is my best friend Carl. And who are you?" I put my hand out to greet her formally before I pull it back, snickering as I remember she's holding too many books. "I'm Ava," she scoffs, turning away slightly. "Hey, wait," I hear Carl say softly. It made both me and her turn towards him. "We don't have many friends here. Hell, one of the only friends we have, we tried to kill." I flinch and look away quickly, almost looking for a way to escape. "And we didn't mean to. It's not like we'd do it again, but I was, wondering if maybe we could be friends?" "Pathetic," she mumbles under her breath. I clench my fist, and the muscles in my shoulder tighten. "Hey, don't you dare talk about him like that," I say, taking a step towards her. My figure creates a shadow over her. I could see her sizing me up and smiling before putting her books down as well as her backpack. I groaned before feeling a tug on my sleeve. "Huh?" "Hey." Carl pulls me down to his head, where I can hear him start to whisper. "Something's off about her. Off like Emma." I flinch and feel myself stiffen up as I stand back to meet her gaze. She had a stern look on her face, but I didn't care about that. I stood there staring. No, examining her eyes curiously. They seemed a much brighter gold than any human eyes I've seen. "You said Emma. Might you be talking about a girl about yay high with a younger sister named Starian?" I flinch and nod. "Yeah, we were just wondering when she's coming to school. She's, one of our friends." I groan and run my hand through my hair as Carl explains. She obviously knows now that she's the one we tried to kill. "Huh. All right then. Anyway, I think it would be nice to make some friends here. Would you two like to meet somewhere else at lunch?" Carl and I smile as she talks, and Carl nods eagerly. I could see her smile past us, her eyes glowing a soft white color before I turned and saw Emma and Star finally come to school. "Come on, let's get going. I still have to figure out what classes I have," Ava says, putting her hands on our shoulders and walking with us to the office. I glance over my shoulder to see both Emma and Star a bit pale. I shake my head and smile while walking with our new friend, Ava. After talking to the principal, we walked to our first class. Almost everyone we knew had this class together, and now Ava too. I smile as we reach the classroom. I had no intentions of learning today. I just wanted to talk with her. I see Emma zoom past us, but Ava just continues walking with us to our seats. I could hear her chuckle and say something under her breath. "Emma!" Star yells, running after her. Ava's chuckle turned into a small laugh as we sat down. Carl worriedly looked towards the door. "What's so funny?" I asked, glaring at Ava. "It's just so stupid how uncontrollable she still is." She smiles, glaring at the door. We were just barely able to see Emma's wings and tail, but it was enough to throw me and Carl into a panic. "Still is?" I ask, tearing my gaze away from the door. She laughs. "Oh yes, she killed 2 kids in the old town, just to protect that weak little brat." I flinch and notice Carl staring at Ava. "Killed?" Carl says quietly, more to himself than anything. Why are you here? I glare at her, narrowing my gaze to her eyes, just trying to figure out what she was. I'm here to get rid of her demon side. Or kill her. Whichever spell I use later will determine that. And you two kind of seem perfect to help. I clench my fist. Listen, I don't want any part of this if there is even the slightest chance of Carl getting hurt. Or her, for that matter. We're on good terms now. I flinch as the teacher calms the class. Listen, Ava says quietly. I'm not looking for help. I'm asking if you want to join in on some harmless fun. She smiles, pulling out a book she had earlier and flipping to a page. I don't understand, Carl says softly, worriedly looking at Emma and Star as they come into class. Ava doesn't seem to pay attention as they come in. Emma looked pale and sweating slightly. Don't worry. I just need you guys to say yes, she says, grabbing out a small sticky note and copying down a rune from a page she was on. I sigh and look at Emma, who was struggling to keep her eyes from just turning black. I'm in, I mumbled, making Ava smile and Carl flinch. Listen, I want to help her, and frankly, it seems her demon side is what's causing most of her stress. Are you sure it's not just the people who hate her for it? Carl said quickly, before closing his mouth and looking down. We both look at him, knowing he's not done. Well, I mean, I guess you'd be right too, Clinton. Fine, I'm in too. Good, she says, putting her hand over the rune as it glows a soft red. I could feel my body become lighter and my head all fuzzy. What was that? Carl said softly. I could see that whatever she did affected him the same way. It's just something to make sure you two don't chicken out. I groan and rub my head before all I can see is darkness. The school day goes by as any other would, although at lunch we were just sitting blankly with Ava beside us as she rehearsed spells. Spells. That's what she did. She put a damn spell on us. After school, she walked with us to an abandoned building. It looked like a small warehouse. There were other people there as well. I could feel myself talking. No. Chanting the words of a spell. If I squinted my eyes right, I could see. But Emma, Star, and Ira, what are they all doing here? It's a trap. They need to get out of here. Why is Ira chanting as well? Star! Ira yells. No, that's Emma's voice. Why do I hear screaming? After them! Ava yells as her eyes glow a bright white, soon turning to a black. I could feel myself running alongside the others, chasing after and searching for Emma, Star, and Ira. I groan and trip on a rock, hitting my head lightly on the ground, and the sudden pain in my head erased the spell's effect on me. I quickly get up and grab Carl, shaking him out of the trance. Carl, come on, Shrimp, snap out of it! He flinched and groaned, rubbing his head from the dizziness before I sat down on the curb with him. What the hell happened? Why is everything so fuzzy? He groans and leans against me, whining softly as the pain from the spell sets in. I ignore the pounding headache and stand up, pulling him alongside me. That brat put a spell on us. I should have seen it coming. The rune, her eyes. Damn it! I shouldn't have let my guard down. Hey, shut the hell up. It hurts. I flinch as Carl yells before he flinches at his own words and just stares at me. Sorry. He looks down and winces in pain as the headache brings him to his knees. I sigh and pick him up before he can completely fall. The pain is setting in slower on me than him, so I carry him home. The next day we were hesitant to go back to school. Hell, we almost missed the first bell before we got into class. But once we got in, many students were all looking around, and once we entered the class, we noticed why. What did you do to her? I slam my hands down on the table in front of Ava. I could just barely see her flinch, and she smirks and shrugs. I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. She smiles and flips a page in her book. You know damn well what I'm talking about, and what the hell did you do to us? I yell and feel Carl pull slightly on my shirt. Clinton, people are staring. I glare at him and tense up, noticing the many people around us, staring before flinching and looking away, going back to whatever they were doing. I turn my gaze back to Ava. Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. None of my henchmen came back with them. They got away. Happy? And as for what I did to you, I did this. I flinch and struggle to keep my eyes open. She makes a mark on the sticky note she had written down yesterday. My head feels dizzy, and I can see Carl already sitting down beside her. His eyes looked a bit more gray than usual. I clenched my fist on the table before I felt the soft dizziness taking over my body. Damn it. I groan and mumble as I'm forced to sit down, and everything goes hazy again. I can't remember anything. It felt like days had passed. I could feel calluses slowly build on my hands as I ran back and forth for this brat. I felt power constantly being added to the spell to keep it running for so long. Until one day she forgot. Damn it, I can't keep this up any longer. How long till we can initiate the spell? She said angrily, throwing a book against the wall. I could feel my body flinch as a natural reaction, but I didn't have nearly enough strength against the spell to fight back. Just a few more days, Ava, then we can rid them of this planet. Starting with the new demon. New? I think to myself before my hand twitches, slowly closing into a fist. Ava, I think the spells are wearing off on those two. Or at least a stronger one. Thank you, Harold, she says before a wave of power washes over me, returning me to the silent haze. Another day had passed. Everything is still hazy, and I can just slightly hear a familiar voice. But I think today is the day I can fight back. I can almost see clearly. Her voice helps bring me to the surface enough to think for myself. I'm not acting for myself yet. I'm still just a puppet for her. I blink my eyes at the sight in front of me. I could see Star tied to a chair in her demon form. I could feel my hair stand on end. Was she always a demon? Did we do this to her? I just slightly look around the room. Where's Emma? I think to myself before seeing the necklace of the former demon in the hands of what I could only assume is a demon created by the spell we had messed up previously. I couldn't hear anything through the soft ringing in my ears. I could feel myself flinch and my breathing speed up as I saw Ava hold a flame under Star's chin. A few words were said between them before Star's wings burst open, sending the ropes around her everywhere in tiny pieces. I look around as Ava sends two people in cloaks towards her as she flies above the air. Only then did I notice that I was also in a cloak. I looked back up to see one of the people in cloaks, Carl. His eyes widened in panic. The spell was finally wearing off on him too. Although we were still puppets. He is forced to jump towards her. She dodges him and flies a bit higher. Get her, damn it! Ava screams, and I flinch as I'm shaken out of the spell completely as she screams. I take a step back as many more people come into the dimly lit room. I look up at Star as someone grabs her leg before she can try and fly off. All I see is the room lit up brightly with a blue flame. I freeze, almost seeing green until I feel a burning rage inside me. She thankfully missed the man who had grabbed her leg, but he had let go and she flew off. We will find you! Ava yells before I shake myself out of it completely and tackle her. She screams as two other men came running up, pouncing on me and grabbing my arms, holding me up. You're a monster! I yell, clenching my fist and kicking my leg slightly under me as I'm lifted. She spits at me and huffs. You are one strong mortal. I flinch at her words before she looks at me and my confused expression. Wow, someone doesn't do their research. Well, I guess you have been under my spell for much too long to do so. She laughs and turns away, making the two men holding me up follow her before a dark and cracked halo appears atop her head. I look over my shoulder to see Carl fighting two other men. Leave him alone! I yell and struggle in the arms of the men. Please, just let him be! I tear up and feel my face become red with rage as I tear my arm away from one of the men, giving myself enough leverage to tear my other arm away and run towards Carl. I'm tackled by the men again, forced to land on my stomach as they pin me to the ground. I look up and stare at Carl. He's crying softly as they dig their nails into his arms to keep him from tearing his arms away. Clinton, I'm sorry. I should have been stronger like you. I grunt in pain as two men tie my hands behind my back. Carl, don't be sorry. It's not your fault. Please. Just don't fight it. You'll just become more hurt. I give in as I feel the ties become tight around my wrist. He has tears streaming down his face as we're lifted onto a man's shoulders. He was built like a truck. He was at least 6 foot tall, maybe even pushing 7. His muscles were tight as we were hauled away from the room. I look up to see black feathers disappear behind a corner. We turned in and all we saw was Ava at the end of the hall in another room. We were shoved into the room and tied to the chairs as she looms over us, the bodyguard standing beside the chairs. Listen, I'm in charge around here, got it? I scoff and grunt, pulling on the ropes around my wrists. Hey! I flinch as her voice booms and echoes through the room. I'm in charge, and you're gonna listen to me. I glare at her as she stands straight and smirks. Fine. Don't want to talk? I know exactly what will get you to talk. I continue to glare at her as she walks over to the other side of the room where Carl was tied. He looks up at her, shaking slightly. My eyes widen as her fist clenches and the muscles in her shoulder tighten. No, wait! I scream as I see her draw back her fist. I pulled on the ropes tightly before two hands were gripped to my shoulders, pulling me back as I watched in horror as she punched Carl in the chest. Stop it, fine, I'll do whatever you want, just don't hurt him! She grins as Carl leans as much forward as he can, groaning in pain and breathing heavily, coughing slightly. Good. Now, just to make sure. I close my eyes tightly, feeling as though she would punch me or him again. After waiting and nothing, I look up at her and I'm met with the same figure standing over me, now with dark black angel-like wings, that same shattered halo above her head. See, this is why my spells were so strong. Now if you keep this up, I'll be sure to kill you. And I'm not a chicken like Emma. I will kill you. And him. She glares at Carl before he looks back down at the floor. I nod softly. Good. Now I will let you off the spell for however long it takes for us to find her. Got it? She couldn't have gone too far. She makes a motion towards the two guards before they untie us, and I quickly run to Carl, making sure he's okay. Pathetic. Guards, take them to their neighborhood. I don't want them snooping around here any longer. Ava commands before walking to a desk and sitting down. The guards nodded and escorted us out. Clinton, Carl mumbles as we lay in our beds. Shouldn't we tell someone? He says, looking over at me. He winces in pain as the bandages I had put around his chest pushed against the bruises. No, I say softly in a monotone voice. We can't. She's a fallen angel. We can't do anything but to continue as we were. We sit there for a while until I hear sniffling from the other side of the room. I look up to see Carl curled into a ball with his knees tucked close to his chest. Oh, hey, buddy, what's wrong? Are you hurt? I knew he was before, but was there something else? He looks up at me, and I know exactly why he's crying. There's no look of pain on his face or in his eyes. There's fear, regret, and so much worry. I saw her necklace. We both know she doesn't take it off, he says through cries. I tense up and hug him softly, shushing him. Hush, hey, it's okay. Knowing how relentless and determined Star is, she'll figure it out. I promise. Besides, she's a demon. We both know how hard she is to get rid of. I snicker softly, hiding the regret that laced my words. But if she's already dead, how? Hey, Carl, come on. We saw Ava use spells, so we know those are real. And I'm sure she could bring her back. I promise it's okay. Clinton, aren't you sad? You two seem to be so close, he said, sniffling and rubbing his eyes. I shrug and pull him close, forcing myself to hide the pain. Clinton? I stay silent before he sighs, and we lay down. He pats my back, noticing the tears surfacing in my eyes. You don't need to be so strong anymore. We talked about this. I groan and close my eyes, trying to blink but realizing we hadn't slept in days, so I just fall asleep.